The last light of the sun slipped behind the jagged peaks of the hollow mountains, casting a long, violet shadow across the graveyard. Ardin stood quietly among the moss-covered stones, hands calloused, boots muddy from digging. He wasn't a priest, he wasn't a warrior, he was a gravekeeper, the only one in the small village of Yarrow who dared live on the edge of the Deadlands. Most nights, the job was simple: dig, bury, tend, repeat. But tonight, the lantern began to glow. It started faintly, like a match lit behind his ribs. Ardin dropped the shovel, clutching his chest, breath stolen from his lungs. He knew this feeling. Everyone did. It was the sign. The child had been born. Once every 100 years, a child comes into the world with a lantern in place of a heart, a soulburn, meant to guide the dead through the veil and into peace. Legend said they glowed brighter than fire, could see the dead as clearly as the living, and could open paths no one else dared to tread. Ardin hadn't expected it to happen in his lifetime. And certainly not here. By morning, the news had spread. A midwife from the eastern farms confirmed it. The girl's chest pulsed with a warm golden light that throbbed with her heartbeat. The child was named Alira, and from her first breath, people whispered about destiny, about salvation, and about fear. Not everyone was happy. The soulburn always attracted attention, and not all of it from this world. Ardin watched from a distance. He had no love for legends. His wife had died 10 winters ago, taken too soon by a fever that no prayer or potion could heal. He had begged the gods, cursed them, even tried rituals spoken of in shadowed books. But she was gone, buried beneath stone and soil like the rest. No lantern ever came for her. No guide to the other side. Just cold. But Alira was different. She grew fast. At 7, she was already walking among the graves, talking softly to people no one else could see. She asked strange questions. She wandered into the woods and came back with tears in her eyes and stories of voices in the dark. Her parents didn't understand her, but they knew better than to stop her. The lantern chose her, and the lantern had its own will. Then, on the night of her 8th birthday, the sky turned black. A cold wind tore through Yarrow like a scream. The stars vanished, and Alira was gone. Tracks led into the Deadlands, that cursed stretch of forest where even wolves wouldn't howl. No one dared go in. No one except Ardin. He packed light, his old shovel, a pouch of salt, a rusted charm his wife once wore, and a dim lantern of his own. It gave no warmth, no comfort, but it was enough to see the first signs. Black feathers scattered like ash, trees twisted as if trying to crawl away, and bones, too many bones. He found her 3 days in, alive, but barely. Pale and silent, her lantern flickering low, Alira lay in a clearing surrounded by hooded figures, their faces stretched and hollow, like wax melted in grief. The cult of the eternal flame. A myth, Ardin had once thought, a group obsessed with eternal life, willing to steal the light from a soulburn to buy more years for themselves. They didn't expect him. They didn't expect the dead to rise, because Alira, even half faint, had called to them. Every soul trapped in the veil, every unburied bone in the dark, every ghost that wandered without peace. They came with fury, with screams, with sorrow, and Ardin, shovel in hand, fought like a man with nothing left to lose. When it ended, the clearing was silent, the cult was gone, the dead were free. Ardin carried her out of the forest, his arms aching, his breath raw, and as they walked beneath a sky washed clean by dawn, Alira opened her eyes and asked why he had come. He didn't answer right away. The question echoed in his mind, circling like a hawk. He thought of his wife, of the graves, of the way Alira's lantern glowed like a heartbeat he hadn't felt in years. I came because someone had to, he said at last. Because not all lights are meant to be lost. In time, Alira would grow into her purpose. She would become the sole guide of legend, bearing the lantern for the forgotten. But she would not do it alone. Ardin stayed by her side, not as a protector, not even as a teacher, but as a man who had once lived in silence, and had finally remembered how to feel warmth again. And in the quiet corners of Yarrow, the dead began to sleep peacefully, for they knew someone would carry them home.